Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Daphne St. Clair Ferguson, and my God, it's not the Fringe, but we're back out interviewing. What the heck is going on? So I'm here with some folks from Plunge. So if you could, let's plunge right into this interview, all right? Take it away, introduce yourselves to our little camera audience, and tell me a little bit about your role on this show.
Yeah, I'm Em Brown, and I am the playwright of Plunge. I am also starring in the show as Molly.
I'm Mars Russell, and I'm directing the show.
Very wonderful. So this show started, you guys started working on this. There's a workshop of it in January 2025, and then you were thinking about this back in 2023. Mm-hmm. What has that process been like? Because we're in 2026 now, so that's 3 years in the making. Talk to me a little bit about how it's come, what its journey's been.
It's actually a really funny story, and it makes no sense to anybody who wasn't there, so just Mars. Me and Mars saw a show, someone was doing their art, or performance art thesis, and it was about a train in the UK that a bunch of people were buying and then pouring a lot of money into, but she was playing all the parts in the show. Mm. And so she, the whole bit was basically that the train was making these men who were pouring money into her pay pigs. So that was the whole bit. And so I was like, okay, how do I like put another thing and make it like human and fall in love? And I was like, oh, what if a woman fell in love with a lighthouse? And then that turned into, what if a woman falls in love with the sea? And that all went away. So none of that is relevant. but the sea and like personification of the sea has kind of like carried through into this version of the show. Everybody is a human being. Nobody is a train. Nobody is a lighthouse. But that like mystification is still there in ways, from the first version.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the personification of the sea. So that's Mira in the show, correct? So what elements of the sea bring out, Molly's personality maybe, or bring out the themes of isolation, and what does that look like when you personify the sea?
Yeah, well, I've always thought that the sea is a lesbian. I think that's like a common thought. Like the sea and the moon are lesbians and they're in love. That's like a whole thing. So I don't know. It's a lot about like, there's a lot of metaphors in it. It's a lot about like change and like queer longing is very similar to like, sometimes like men long for the sea in a way. Like there's yearning there. Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts too about the sea?
I wanted Mira to come out soaking wet, but Em said no. So.
Yeah, I like to stifle creative visions here.
I can tell. I mean, I was kind of hoping for a lighthouse on stage, but here we go. That got cut too.
You don't know. You haven't been there. Maybe we have a full lighthouse on stage. You'll just have to come see the show.
Listen, I'm going to, because I'm going to go see this. I'm going to expect a full lighthouse.
Full size. Like we cut yes. The ceiling out of assembly. Yeah. And there's a full lighthouse. Yeah.
I would really love that. I think like as an indie theater company, it's within your budget, yes?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Speaking of budget, I mean, I'm sure you know, I've been asking everyone, where the heck is your money going? I mean, if not to a lighthouse, where's it going?
Do you want to speak about this?
Yeah, so I take it all and run. This show in particular, obviously most of the proceeds just go into paying off the venue. We're from Guelph. Venues were a lot cheaper. Since coming to Toronto, it's been a much bigger expense, so we're adapting. But with this show, we do have 2 nights where 50% of the ticket proceeds are going towards wildfire release for Indigenous families and specifically children being displaced by the fires. We haven't publicized a specific charity yet, but we've selected one, so we're doing that as well.
Yeah. What nights are we doing it? Do you remember? I think our opening night and our matinee show, which is on the 22nd, are the shows that the half of the proceeds are going towards that.
Wonderful. And you also have 2 mandatory masked performances as well, correct? So I'd love to hear about that. I mean, how you're expanding what accessible theater looks like, especially as an indie theater company, because of course we know making theater accessible like can be expensive. I know Assembly is not necessarily the most accessible theater. So how do we create measures that ensure that most all people can come see shows?
I can talk about that. Yeah. I think because we're limited in the theater spaces in Toronto, not always being physically accessible, we do what we can in terms of other measures of accessibility. Truly, like Plunge was our first mask mandatory show, the workshop in 2025, and that was just because we had a loved one, a friend in our circle with cancer. And we were all wanting to see her and bounce between the ICU and the show, and we didn't want anyone to get sick and be unable to. And we were like, oh, this is a really easy measure to get more people to feel safe in the space. So, yeah.
And that's a free measure too. I mean, for the most part, I mean, it's no real cost. I'm sure everyone has their COVID masks lying around too.
We have masks available too if people don't have them.
Part of a mask.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so you don't need to spend any money on a mask if you're going to a mandatory mask performance, and you're keeping everyone safe. So I love to hear that. Okay, I would love to go back to something you said about lesbian romance, queer romance, because I mean I think like right now queer romance is pretty popular in popular culture. I mean we've got Heated Rivalries, the big Canadian one. Yowie, I guess, is big right now. I don't know. I'm just seeing stuff. So, but not a lot of lesbian romance. And so why do you think that is? Is misogyny still rampant in the queer scene? I mean, and why write a lesbian story if this if that's the path that we're on?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you hit a nail on the head with misogyny being a big part of that. I also think that women taking autonomy over their own sexuality and their own pleasure is taboo for some people, and it's easier for us to see men do that, I guess. I don't study psychology, sociology, but for me, as a queer person, like it was really important for me that my shows have a queer voice, because like that's who I am and that's like what I know, and it was a lot of discussion between the two of us when I was writing the show, because the whole idea of the mystification of this person, Mira, and the mystification of a lesbian is very hard to work with, because like then you fall into so many tropes of like the siren, the mystic lesbian. So we tried really hard with the show to play with that and to try to divert that and try to like really make these characters, not even just Molly and Mira, but the other characters in the show, Ernest, who is Molly's husband, and Dr. Porter, to be real human beings and not be like caricatures. Yeah, that was really important for me when I was writing it, and like a lot of our conversations were around that too.
Wonderful. Yeah. And I'd love to speak to, so you've said it in Nova Scotia, and Molly bounces between the Nova Scotia Hospital and then Cape Breton, and it's a memory play. And so I'm curious, I mean, setting it in Nova Scotia, I mean, how does the queer relationship change from setting it in Nova Scotia versus, say, somewhere, I mean, within Ontario, within Toronto? I mean, what does that look like, and why set it there?
I think that the isolation is a big part of it. And also, well, the sea, obviously. You can't get the sea in Toronto, as much as I try to call Lake Ontario the sea often. But yeah, like I think the isolation, it I think is a good backdrop for this, because I don't think that Molly would have had to examine these parts of herself if she was around more people. And I think it's interesting for her to be stuck, quote unquote, stuck there with her husband, and having to contend with that, and then meeting this other person. Once again, playing with like the mystification, like how much of her relationship with Mira is based on this isolation, how much of it is authentic.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Anything to add over there?
I think something Something interesting that's added as well is Molly and Ernest are originally from Alberta. So what is it? You say one of two landlocked provinces? Yeah. So there's a part where they talk about like being completely alone in the middle of Alberta to being on, they feel like the edge of the world when they move to the sea. And the small town culture of both of those provinces, especially in the 1950s, really shines through again in this isolation. There's even a part we've been examining where Molly talks so highly of Ernest having such a wonderful time while she's struggling. And then when you actually look at the full picture, he's also having a hard time. They're both isolated and separate despite staying in the same house. And I think it's really interesting that it's set in this very isolating coastal little town. Yeah.
And I mean, the 1950s too for women were, well, I mean, it was a very isolating time as well. I mean, with the housewife and trad wives are kind of is coming back in popular media once again. So I'm curious, you've said it in the 1950s, and I'd love to hear about what those crossovers are that we're seeing now, and why is it important to have a show set in the 1950s, but watching, you've got a 2026 audience watching it.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. I have had a lot of people ask me why I said it in the 1950s, and my reasoning is because I think it was such an interesting time in history. You have like the war in the 40s. We are stuck in this like nuclear family. Like we're trying to get back to normal. People are trying to get back to normal, or like what things were like before. But we're on the cusp of the sexual revolution in the 60s, and I think that, well, I don't know what's going to happen in the future for us, but I think that we're coming out of such a time, the pandemic and everything that is happening right now, that I think people are trying to cling to tradition in such a crazy way, that I think mirrors that period of time. Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think we romanticize going back to simpler times, and then when you actually sit and look at the simpler culture in question, it's very repressive, it's very oppressive, and yeah, it's been fascinating working on a period piece like this. It's not something I normally do. I'm usually working on more contemporary pieces, but then watching the world around me also step back in time in a few ways with like this rise of choice feminism. And I like what you said about like post-pandemic, COVID's not over, it didn't go away, but we're post-pandemic culturally, and we're clinging to this idea of normal, and we're creating something a little questionable with that. Yeah.
Totally. And so Lemira Rose is your theater company, and you guys, you bounce around, I guess, with contemporary, with these new works as well, and you've got to focus on new works. And you said this company was born out of a lack. And I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about that and how this show provides fruition for you and creates that for you. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, so I founded Lemira Rose in 2018 officially. I'd done one show through my high school, and the reason I did one of my own shows through my high school was that my arts program could only afford to do a musical or a capstone show every other year. So my senior year with my Victory Lap wasn't going to have a show because we didn't have it in the budget. And I went to the drama department and I was like, if I write one, can we do it for free? And they said yes. And I was from a really small town in Durham, Bowmanville, if anyone knows it, probably not. But it was wonderful to just see like theater can be one of the more accessible art forms in terms of you just do it, you just make it happen, you find a space, you find some people, and theater people are quite scrappy. And when we did it and we realized it was something we could do, it continued. The lockdown kind of stifled our momentum in Guelph, and then we rerouted, I would say, 2022 was when we started to really officially do like regular programming, regular shows and events. And when did you come on to like the board that's just us?
I think like unofficially mid 2024, and then when we did the Plunge workshop, I think that's when we started talking about me like coming on board more like in a co-artistic director role. Yeah, it's been interesting. We really like to use the word scrappy when we talk about Lemira Rose. Like we kind of just do what we can with a lack. So like there is a lack of resources for theater creators, especially indie theater creators in Toronto, and like everywhere. And so we do our best with what we have, and I think we do a pretty good job.
We have fun.
We have fun, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and more than that, I mean, you guys, Plunge is the second of 3 shows within your programming, which, I mean, that is, for an indie theater company, doing 3 shows is a huge undertaking. So obviously you're having a little bit more than fun, I would say. And I'd love to hear, how the heck are you doing that?
Audacity. we kind of just this is actually our first year in Toronto. We moved here in September, and I think we just went for it. We were like, we'll try, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We figure it out, and I'm pleasantly surprised that it's been we've been doing it. Yeah.
We realized after it happened that our season this year is shows that we've all done. So Sandpaper was our first one in May. We've actually done that show 4 times, including the last time we did it. And then Plunge is going from workshop to full-length production. And then we're doing our show Adhesive in November, which was also workshopped in August of 2025, and we're really emphasizing second chances with this season and getting to work with what we know, and I think it gives us a familiar foundation in a new space. It helps us have the confidence with the material to just go for it in a brand new space like Toronto, where there's so much, it's almost, it can stunt you. It's like, trying to dive into the scene can feel so daunting, even though it's been very welcoming. But
yeah, everybody's been wonderful.
Everybody's been great. Yeah, the indie theater scene is very interconnected in a way I didn't expect and I love. But yeah, we're just going for it.
Yeah.
Throwing things at the wall, hoping they stick, hoping places say, yes, we can rent here, hoping they say, yes, we will give you a subsidized rate. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And I'd love to hear, I mean, you spoke a little bit from Guelph to Toronto that the theater spaces are cheaper in Guelph. And I'd like to hear a little bit about the differences that you found between the Guelph theater scene and the Toronto theater scene.
I think in Guelph it's a little bit more, well, it's smaller, obviously. It's a much smaller town. And everybody kind of knows each other, but then again, I'm like, everybody kind of knows each other in Toronto too. It's just like,
crazy.
yeah, it's much smaller. I think we got away a little bit more with just like asking people. Like when we did Sandpaper last year in Guelph, we did it in a cafe. So I think it was a little easier to just like go to businesses and be like, can we do a show here? But we haven't really tried that yet. We haven't asked any cafes.
We're getting there.
We'll get there.
Oh, the reading series of Understory.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's similar in ways I didn't expect it to be similar between Toronto and Guelph. Like how many people know each other, and like I'll go to an event and not expect to see anybody I know there, and I know like 10 people.
Right.
And everybody's showing up for each other and coming to each other's shows. It's really wonderful.
I've never felt more like I'm from a small town until I moved here. I feel so like farm kid in the big city, even though Guelph is technically a major city. But in Guelph, like I would text the operator of Silence, which is the venue we use very often. Love you, Scarlett. Love you, Silence. I would just text them like about a month in advance and be like, we're going to do a show. Could we have one of these slots? And it was often a yes. I remember doing Sandpaper, and a man named Paul Barson from another musical theater company came and like brought us a stage and like helped us rig. So it was very interconnected because it was so small. Whereas in Toronto, I find there's definitely community and connection, but there is some emphasis on like focus on your own work, do your own thing. And I think it could stand to have a little bit more bridge building, because if we're all indie theater artists, we're all working towards creation. And I think resource pooling and shared skill sets and getting together and not trying to reinvent the wheel as much as just uphold each other and build our own stages and build each other's stages, I think is really, it's not technically missing, but I think we have a ways to go to get there with this like interconnectedness, because things can feel scarce sometimes. It doesn't always feel like there's enough space, resources, time for people, but there is if we pull things together. So, yeah.
That's really beautiful. And I'm curious, I mean, if you have any thoughts on how we could build that bridge. Like, is it simply just going to see other people's shows? Is it creating community events? To you, what does that actually look like in practice?
I think that something I'm learning is reaching out to one another and like asking for help. I think that once you ask for help, it is easier for someone to ask you for help.
Right.
I think that opening those channels of communication, like we just kind of message people and be like, hey, help, come see our show. Can you share it on your story?
Yeah.
Thank you. We will do the same for you. Like, I think that like reciprocal support is a good way to start that. Just like in the most simple of ways of sharing a post to a story, or like that's something we try to do is often
and
like
we get so excited when other people
yeah. It's really nice when like you see people supporting you and you're able to support them. I think that's the like first step and the most simple way to start doing that.
And I quit networking in 2026. I was never really good at it in a traditional sense, but then I was like, oh, I'm trying to do something that feels so inauthentic to me, so I'm going to stop. I don't want to go to someone's show to promote my own show. I want to go to someone's show to learn what they're about. I want to learn who they are as a person outside of their collective, their company, their piece. I think coming out of Fringe season, like it was such a beautiful whirlwind of just artists supporting artists. And I think it shows like we can do that. There's not always that many shows happening at the same time, but I think we can support each other. Because again, we're all doing the same thing in our different ways. And I think coming together and sharing, even just skill sets, like building seasons around like, oh, what are other people up to around this time? How can we collaborate? Even if it's not like a co-written show or a co-produced show, like how can we support of just like something I've been trying to be mindful of is not double booking show weekends. And it's hard in Toronto because there's only so many weeks in a year, but just knowing that like as we build our seasons and know what we set out to do, that includes supporting what's already happening around us. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I think this is a perfect time to ask, what is Canadian theatre and how do you folks fit into it?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question, trying to prepare for it, and I was having a hard time because I think that, like any place, it is so varied. I think that it is truly like people doing what they're doing, and I had a hard time thinking about this one because there's so much going on all the time. Like there's so much art that is so varied. I feel like in the last few years I've experienced a lot of art that I've never opened myself up to before. I did some work in opera like a couple years ago. Cool. I just as a PA, but
hey, you're still in there.
Yeah. But I think it is about like broadening our horizons and experiencing things that that maybe we don't always experience. I don't know if that answers the question, but
That's your answer.
I'm curious what you're going to say.
Well, because Em and I went to Guelph University together and we studied theater, and we worked under one of our professors, Judith Thompson. She's a playwright, and she was very passionate about being very clear with your shows being set in Canada, like naming the space, the city, the time, because so much theater is Americanized, so much theater is set in New York or Brooklyn, like truly mostly there. And she was like, set your shows in Canada and name it and learn about these places, whether it's places that you've been, places that you haven't been. And I think it's so interesting. Theater has this practice of land acknowledgements at the top of shows. So actually learning about the physical landscape of Toronto, even just like working with your show and having it named in Cape Breton was interesting to shape my shows.
That was so important to me.
Yeah.
I was thinking, because I think when I was first writing the show, I was like, I want it to be at the sea, but like where in the sea? And I was like, I want it to be in Canada.
Yeah.
Like I knew that from the start.
Yeah, and you inspired me, like shaping worlds in my plays that exist in a more liminal space. Like we said sandpaper is so Toronto.
Yeah.
And I think we said that adhesive feels very like small town. We've said like Sudbury or Durham, like that kind of stuff. I think it just like setting it in Canada, I think is very important because that can mean so many things. That can mean anything. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, is there anything else that we should know about Plunge? I mean, did you want to talk a little bit more about Cape Breton and how that influences things? Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I mean, I could talk about Plunge and the sea and Cape Breton a lot, forever, for hours. I always think it's funny because people, when we did the workshop, people kept asking me if I was from Cape Breton, and every time I talk about Plunge, people are like, oh my gosh, you must be from Nova Scotia. I went there once when I was 8. And that's it. But I will say, my mom grew up in BC, and so like the coast has always felt like a second home. And I've always been called to the ocean. I find it interesting. I also had someone ask me if I was from Alberta, because the other place that they're from is Alberta. Once again, no. I've actually never been to Alberta, so I don't think we need to be there. Sorry, don't. Cut that. Slandering Alberta.
Wow, you never know who's watching these things, right?
I love Alberta. I've never been.
Go.
Let's go to Plunge in Alberta.
We should be in Alberta.
Actually, Plunge is no longer set in Cape Breton. It is now set in Alberta.
Landlocked.
Yeah, landlocked Plunge. It's the whole point. Yeah, I mean, I think I talked a lot about it at the beginning. I think it's such a fascinating place to put a show because it is so isolating and small town. I grew up in a small town, and so like I think that anything set in a small town is very interesting because it's so much different, so different than the city, like than Toronto. Because you have to rely on other people a little bit more in very different ways. Yeah, it's easy to be an individual in a city like Toronto, but I find that like in smaller towns you have to be reliant on people. But it's interesting for Plunge because they don't really have any close neighbors. So they're trying to rely on each other, but that's not happening. Yeah. Anything else to say about Plunge?
About Plunge? Or anything in the world. I hope that people come and see it. We do have sliding scale tickets. One thing we were very passionate about in Guelph and kept with one of our values in Toronto is we have pay what you can tickets at the door, and that truly means what you can. I have a laundry token from my very first Samira Road show that someone paid with. So we mean that. And yeah, I hope people come because I'm extremely proud of this cast, and you were included in that. We have such an array of acting experience in the cast. It's been really fun to work with. Shout out Liam, Lee, Ash, Em. And yeah, we have a really wonderful team behind us, so I hope people come out and support them. And I'm so excited to do the show again. Very, very different, very brand new. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've got a bigger team than I think we've ever had. Because usually we're scrappy and we wear a lot of hats at Samira Rose. But this time we like have a fairly full team. Like we've got a stage manager, Sid. We've got our technical director, Josh. We're getting marketing help from our friend Sundus. We have a photographer, Lee. Am I missing anybody?
No, I don't think your parents have helped.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people supporting us on this one. So it's been
supporting us.
Yeah, you're supporting us. So it's been very fun to expand and to get to meet and work with new people, which is really fun. It's not just us sitting in our basement. I mean, it still kind of is.
It is.
But in a different way.
It's not just us in our basement.
It's a bunch of us in our basement. Yeah.
That is wonderful. So are you doing, so now I'm curious, are you doing like rehearsals in the basement? Do you have a rehearsal space? I mean, what is that? Are we in the park doing it? What's going on there?
Yeah, we were planning on doing it in the park, but Plunge is an interesting show. It's not, I don't think it's a family-friendly show.
No.
Yeah, we do the majority of our rehearsals in our basement apartment. We do our runs right now we're doing them in B Street. So we have, thank you, B Street. We have a few times booked in B Street, but for the most part, we do the majority of our rehearsals in our apartment. In our kitchen, yeah. Like I said, we're scrappy. Yeah.
And how does that, I'm just diving in now, I'm plunging in, if you will. How does that influence the show? I mean, to do it in a kitchen, I mean, that's pretty isolating, if I do say so myself. Yeah. So what? How the heck does that influence the show? I mean, you're not in a proper theater space for the most part of your rehearsal period.
I think I will say for me, it can be challenging because I think our lives. We do this. Our lives kind of become the show that we're doing because it is in our space. But I think it is also good because it builds a rapport with people. I think there's a comfortability that we have like amongst we're kind of all just friends hanging out in a way.
Yeah, I love watching the actors get into B Street and not know they can move more than 3 feet. They stand very close and they feel so free with all this space, and I'm so excited to get into assembly because this happened with our last show. We rehearsed in our apartment, and then by the time we got on the stage which was the Palmerston Library, we were so eager to move. There was a hunger to be in an actual theater, so it adds excitement and anticipation, I think.
Yeah.
And now listen, I'm full of excitement and anticipation for this show, which is running, correct me if I'm wrong, the August 20th to 22nd at Assembly. You've got 2 mandatory mass performances. And I mean, is there anything else I gotta let them know about this show?
Yeah, well, freezies. We're getting freezies.
That is unbelievably important. I don't think anything has made me want to see a show more, knowing that there will be freezies. I'm not even kidding.
They'll be free. And they'll be free. I just wanted to double check.
They'll be free.
And they're free.
My God, nobody's doing this in Canada.
No one's doing it like us.
Nobody. I'm serious. My God. So get your butts down to Assembly Theatre, get your free freezy, pay with a laundry token, and see some incredible Canadian theatre. This is, guys, this has been so much fun chatting with you guys, and so I just can't wait to come see this show and see what you're all about. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Perfect. This is Daphne St. Clair Ferguson signing off.